Hey guys, Caleb's Cards here, coming at you with a new, new launch to the new season for the World War II letters. These are letters that are given to me through Scott Masters. He interviews these people. Typically, a lot of them are World War II veterans. They can either be from the U.S., they can be from Canada, they can be from the UK, all over the world, really. And he's been trying to interview as many as possible and get their stories and sharing them with his history class that he teaches. And he's just been sending them to me. I've tried to help him find a few addresses of some people. I'm turning on the phone here. Also, just trying to help. Um, if I could do it right here. There we go. Just trying to help him find the addresses of the people, giving him some stamps also to be able to contact others. And yeah, so it's been a lot of fun over the years getting to know him. And he's been sending me these, so that was very cool. And I like to come on here and share with you their stories so that you can hear about them. So his links obviously will be down below in the description if you want to go check him out. Also, there should be links to the Veterans Breakfast Club, which is where I first met him, and they just do tons of stories with veterans from different conflicts, even conflicts where we still don't have veterans, but they talk about it, and it's kind of an open discussion. So today we will be covering three. Two are husband and wife. That's going to be Mr. Mel McMullen and Jennifer McMullen. And then we also have Richard Pruder, um, who is, I think, it was kind of served like towards the end of World War II. But we'll start with Mr. Pruder. So I know it's going to show, because the camera is going to show upside down and stuff, but there's the signature down there. There's kind of some pictures there. That's more so what we're trying to share here. And I will go ahead and read his story here. So Scott typed up. So Richard Dick Pruder was born August 10th, 1927 in Chicago. His father lost his job in the tough years in the 1930s, though, so the family moved to Westside, Iowa. By 1942, Dick lived in San Francisco near the Richmond shipyard, and he worked at the Judson Pacific Steel Barge Works. So he helped build the ships. He also worked at a dry dock in Oakland building C-2 cargo ships while he attended junior college. He'd hoped to become a pilot. At 17, Dick went to Pier 5 and joined the Merchant Marines. His first ship was the San Mateo Victory. Though he was ashore and celebrated VJ Day on Market Street, he did sail to Sasebo, Japan to deliver PX supplies of liquor and brandy, and he also had the occasion to visit many ports. Bristol, Liverpool, Saigon, and Batavia among them. He transcended the Panama Canal on 6 occasions and the Suez Canal 5 times. He graduated from a blue water sailor to able-bodied seaman and sailed on a Liberty ship to India. Not long after, he was recruited by 3 federal marshals on a stop in Honolulu, and he went from Tripler Base to Fort Ord to Schofield Barracks. He was in the Army now, ready to play his part in the emerging Cold War. His journey to Korea started with a DC-4 Pan Am flight to Wake Island en route to Camp Drake, Japan. He was assigned to a clerk typist school. From there he took the train to Sasebo and a ferry to Busan. Most of his buddies weren't so lucky, as they transited by ship. Dick was initially assigned to personnel but transferred to the 31st Infantry Line Co., or they were also known as the Polar Bears, of the 7th Division, where he was part of a mortar platoon. He was an acting platoon sergeant for 6 months and earned the prize Combat Infantry Badge. Dick was discharged home in April 1953, and he went on to earn a degree in electrical engineering. He decided to go back to sea with the Merchant Marines. Dick also married his fiancée Agnes in June 1961, and the two of them went on to build their lives together in the decades that followed. It's very cool. So he was born 1927, so he is about 97 now. Just turned 97, looks like August 10th, so very cool. Again, let you look at some pictures there. CBs and uh, the old gentleman he served with there. It's very cool. So thank you so much, Mr. Pruder, for your service. Really appreciate you sharing this with Scott, and then Scott, I really appreciate you sharing these with me. And awesome to have his signature in the collection. He's kind of a late World War II veteran. Was in the war in 1945, and then going into the Korean War. And then also, Mr. Pruder sent a personal note back that he wrote. So I wanted to read that for you too. It says, Dear Caleb, Scott has asked me to send you an autographed copy of my interview sheet. I'm including it. He also asked me to include a note about what I'm not sure. So I will tell you about some of the war's effects on civilian life during World War II. Wages were frozen. As a joiner's helper, I got 95 cents an hour. Wow. My dad, as a journeyman carpenter, made $1.50 an hour. These were pre-war union negotiated contracts and not renegotiated until the end of the war. If required, they could be changed to be fair. Also, the war years were a period of shortages and rationing. Among a myriad of items, gas, tires, sugar, and leather shoes were rationed. That's tires. That's why you would see um, a lot of the old vehicles having white tires. And yes, of course, gas. They need every bit they can get. Gas was not a major problem. The black market was huge, and the government never put a stop to it. That's where you started to get into moonshine. Unless you parked your car on the street at night, siphoning gas and stealing tires was big business. Getting new tires was a real grind, and you often end up buying used tires. Thus, the value of stealing tires. I never thought of stealing tires. When I and my brother and I heard that cocoa was to be rationed, we got on our bikes and rounded up all we could. This kind of sounds like the toilet paper with COVID. Even though there was tons of it, people just bought it whenever they saw it. When the war ended, we still had cocoa. Between my 15th and 16th birthdays, I worked at a Lux supermarket as a butcher's helper. Meat also was rationed, and often we had little or none to sell. One day I came into one week and found a group of workers standing around a single box of bananas. He decided he could not put out a single box, so we workers all got a few. Says Caleb, in the last few years my writing has become unreadable, so now I type or voice type everything. So that's okay. I really appreciate him taking the time to do this. And he also included his email, so I'll have to see if I can email him and thank him. We'll set that aside so then I can see that. All right. So that was Mr. Pruder. Next up, we have Mr. Mel McMullen. He actually, him and his wife actually sent two copies, so we have two autographs of each, which is pretty cool. And then we'll read his wife's story later. So we got Mr. Mel McMullen, was born June 5th, 1925 in Southern California. Growing up in the Los Angeles area, he had two brothers, and both parents were employed. His father was a master welder, and his mother became a phone operator when the boys were grown. With that, they were insulated from the worst effects of the Great Depression, though Mel remembers seeing the Hoovervilles and Food Lions of the era. When the war came, Mel was in high school, and he recalls learning of the Pearl Harbor attack and seeing the wartime newsreels at the movies. His older brother was already in the U.S. Army Air Corps, and Mel opted to do the same, hoping to be a pilot. He was selected as a gunner instead and sent to gunnery school in Las Vegas, where he was crewed up on a 10-man B-24 Liberator bomber crew. They were sent to Miami Beach, Florida, and sent overseas. En route, they found out they were on their way to China, where they become part of the 14th Air Force. They flew via Brazil, Africa, and Yemen en route to China. Once there, it became their task to bomb Japanese targets in eastern China, which could include flying over the hump of the Himalayan mountains. That must have been pretty. In addition to the brutal weather conditions, Mel and the men in his crew faced the normal realities of any bomber crew, including flak, though they were lucky that they did not see any enemy fighters by that time in the war. They also had the chance to experience some of China, namely in visits to Kunming. The war ended with atomic bombs in August 1945, and Mel was back home that December. Upon his return, he met a young defense industry worker named Jennifer, who we'll come to later, who had rented a room at his mother's home. They married the next summer and went on to raise their family and play their role in post war America. Mel and Jennifer have remained very active and have traveled the world and remained dedicated to the cause of remembrance. In that regard, they have visited China on a number of occasions where they have worked to maintain the memories of the Flying Tigers and Sino-American cooperation and friendship. It's very cool. So almost 100 years old. There's the signature down there. Good look at some more of the pictures. Cool. There he is down in the corner. Very awesome. Next up, we have his wife, Jennifer. So here's her story. There's her signature down there. Just let you look at the pictures. Jennifer McMullen Nee Conaway was born October 22nd, 1924, in Scio, Ohio. She grew up there against the backdrop of the Great Depression, and she recalls government agencies such as the CCC and WPA. When the war came, her two brothers were drafted, and Jennifer recalls the way the country united. With everyone wanting to do their part, she too opted to get involved in war industry, becoming one of the millions of Rosie the Riveters who would transform the American warfare and later society in general. Jennifer's family moved from Ohio to Arizona because of her father's health, and from there Jennifer headed to California, where she took work at the Lockheed plant in Burbank. There she was a bucker and a riveter, working on the line to produce the P-38 aircraft. For a time she stayed with the two other young women, but after a while she stayed at a family home, the McMullen family home, where she would later meet a returning serviceman. When Mel came home, the two started to date, and they would marry just a few months later, raising their three sons and making a life in post-war California and traveling around the world. Very cool. There's Jennifer. Awesome stories. They also did include just a little note here on the paper. Inspector says, "Dear Caleb, thank you for your interest in our World War II experience. Cheers, Jennifer and Mel McMullen." So we got 5 signatures technically from them, so very cool. So yes, thank you to the McMullens for their service. Thank you to Mr. Pruitt, and I really appreciate you both, or all three of you, sending me these through the mail through Scott, and appreciate you doing that interview with him as well. So thanks so much everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this return with episode 1 of season 3 of the World War II letters. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys later. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye.